Hi everyone, in this video we've got some music that's not quite long enough to cover our track. We need it to be longer. Imagine if there was a way we could just send it to Audition and it would send back a file that was the exact right length. Hooray! It's pretty spectacular. Let me jump in and show you how to do it. All right, to get started, find your interview sync A. Okay, not the sequence that you might have made or we've probably made, the actual MP4. Let's make a new sequence from it just to start fresh. And let's give this sequence a name. Let's call it music extend. Okay, and what we need to do is we want to bring in music 01. And instead of building up a really long clip, let's just fake it by copying and pasting this one over and over. So remember, copy, shift drag to get it to snap to the end if your snapping's not on, and then just paste, 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 paste. And let's get it, I don't know, that long. Okay, just so it's way over what we need and our music doesn't stretch to the end. Okay, so we need to get it closer. So we worked out duration doesn't work very well in the last video, okay, using music and duration. What you can do is you can go in this track here, extend it in Audition. To get over to Audition, you can either drag this file directly into it, or you can right click it and say, edit clip in Audition. What it ends up doing is not adjusting the original. So it ends up making a completely new file, which is going to be a WAV file in here, watch. So that anything you do, you see audio extracted in Audition will be on that file, leaving the original okay. But in this case, we want to do a bit more than just mess about with the actual track. We want to turn it, like if you haven't done Audition before, it's not tricky. It's not tricky. And what we're going to do is kind of like Premiere Pro. We've got this raw footage in here. I want to say, actually, let's insert it into a multi-track. So basically it's putting it inside of a sequence like in Premiere Pro. We're going to give ours a name. I'm going to call mine music extended. Okay, I'm going to put it in my exercise files with everything else. Actually, I'm just going to stick mine on my desktop. I won't include it in your files. And everything else is going to be okay. And I've got this file here. So basically, see over here, that thing there is like my sequence. Okay, it's called a session. And I've got that wave in it. So what I need to do is select over here. Okay, I need to go to clip. I need to say remix and enable the remix. Yes, please. Analyze this for a little while. Okay, kind of figure out what the tempo is and the bits that it can use to repeat. I don't know, it's Huju. I love it though. Next up, you will have seen that this property panel just opened up when you did enable the remix. Okay, and over here, the target duration, how long we want it to be. You can grab and drag it and slide it or type it in. For me, I want to go back to Premiere Pro and figure out how long I need it to be. So I need it to be this. Okay, 5 minutes and 21 seconds, 0 frames. Now, unfortunately, you can't just paste that in there. It freaks out. Well, it'll work. Check it out. If I put that in there, it's going to work pretty fast. Okay. It's pretty amazing. It's done my loop. These little jagged lines here are the kind of transitions from one to another. Let's play it through and see if we can hear them. You couldn't tell, and it just kind of repeats all these chunks all the way along. The problem is a lot of the shortcuts from Premiere Pro work, so I can use my backslash key, and it shows me the entire clip. It's 5 hours long, and it will render it, and you'll get... I did it for giggles, and it ended up being like a 2 GB file. You don't need that. So I'm going to undo. Okay, when you do your duration, remember backslash, just in here, basically you need to edit this out so that there's no colons at the front. So just kind of delete all that stuff and it should work. Hang on, should it work? Yeah, 5 seconds colon 21. Let's give it a sec. Same processing, see how massive it is. Nope, it's ginormous again. Don't listen to me. Undo. Let's just type it in. Let's replace this 5. Thought I knew how to do it. Was it 521? So let's just delete over the top. 521 and 000. Give it a sec. Let it do its thing. Backslash. That's better. So these little crinkles here are the bits that get extended. So do play over them and just see, you know, if you notice anything bad. It's pretty amazing. Like, I don't know how it does it, but it's pretty crazy. If you do have problems, or like what it does is like there's a beats per minute that it can't really fudge too much. So it ends up being, can you see it's remixed the duration to actually 524, okay, to be exact. And if you're like pretty, like I can live with that, those kind of like 3 seconds in there, I can fudge that, okay, with the start and the end. You might try and go a bit earlier, set it to 520 and see what you get. But you can actually force it. You can say under advanced here, you can say stretch it to the duration. And all it does is, can you see up here, it's at 100% playback. It actually just does a bit of gross kind of squishing to fit your exact time. It depends on how much of a purist in terms of beats per minute. Whether you notice it at all. I don't, but I've done that in classes before where people that do care, the person that made this will care. So yeah, do you want to do that? You decide. Over here, you can play around with the, the edit length, the features, minimum loop, maximum stack. To be honest, I don't know enough about it to give you any sort of real information. I know that I drag them around and it plays with the length and can play with them, but somehow magically Audition does a really good job at this. And I'll have to put my hand up and say, I just use the remix feature quite often and I don't play around or understand it a huge amount. So you might have to dive in and learn a bit more about it. Now getting it out is a couple of ways. We're going to go for this simple way. That is simple if you haven't used Audition before. We're going to go to File, Export, and we're going to use this multi-track mix down. Basically, it's going to smush all my multi-tracks down to one track. This is kind of like my working sequence. We're now doing the rendering. If we're talking Premiere Pro speak, it's called a mix down here. The entire session, I'm going to leave it as a wave because it's a better file format. It's going to be bigger. It's going to have really great detail. It doesn't make much sense in our one because we started with an MP3. We're not really gaining a whole lot, but when I downloaded the original for this music, I would have chosen in wave format. So here you go. I'm going to stick mine on my desktop. Music extended, there it is there. I'm going to put it in with his buddy. So this SX is just like the project file. Okay, we can keep that around if we need it. I'll put this in with this guy just to keep it there. Let's render it, give it its time to do it. Where we got it, let's have a little look. So on my desktop, I've got music extended and there's my WAV file. Okay, so I can drop that into Premiere Pro now. The only trouble with going from Premiere Pro and not really understanding the Audition a huge amount, we've got that extracted. Remember that one we got created so we don't wreck it? We don't really need that anymore because we're not using it. Okay, it was on the timeline there. So you might just go straight from your MP3 or music file into Audition. Okay, and let's go for, what do we want? That's it there, the mix down. So that's a little bit off, but in my case, there's this kind of trailing off that
siblings
doesn't
and
really matter.
My mom have always been.
All right, make sure it's music. Auto match it. It's always too loud. And then start playing using your square brackets. With it selected, square brackets down.
I was born and raised in
keyboard.
the Philippines and I have 2 other siblings.
All these guys need to be dialogue and be auto matched as well, but you get the idea. It's cool, huh? That's what it is. The reason I didn't go too much into Audition in this class like I used to is because we used to use a lot of the things that are in here in the essential sound panel. If you can't see it, go to Window, Workspace, Default, and then reset to save layout. I'm in Adobe Audition, and you look, it's pretty amazing. Click on it, you say I want dialogue, and I want it to be loudness and auto match, and all those things now have been brought through into Premiere Pro. This kind of essential sound helps connect both the programs, and some of the technology and effects and plugins that are made for this are now kind of available to us in Premiere Pro. Just pretty exciting, except remix, which might come. That duration thing we looked at the last video really needs to be this remix option here. It's amazing. All right, that's it. That is extending music in Audition for Premiere Pro. Let's get on to the next video. Actually, no, it's Friday night. I'm gonna take a break for the next video. You can get on, it's ready for you right now. I'm gonna take a break. I'll see you on Monday. Actually, I was packed up, walking out, and I thought, actually, you know what? I should show them this. I use Envato Elements for a lot of my music. Great stuff in here. And you can find a lot of music that have loops as part of it. So let's say that I don't particularly like this track. It's one of the first ones I found. I just like no vocals, upbeat. Okay, this kind of beats per minute. And I'm in here and let's play it. So it plays along. So there's 4 tracks. Okay, so basically here to here is one track and it ends. Then there's a shorter kind of alternate version. There's a shorter version and then there's a full-on loop track. Here you go at the end here. see it just kind of launched into it. So the back end of it and the front end of it match up nicely. So you can just loop that forever and it will loop without you having to do the magic in Audition. So there are lots of them in here. You can see this one has 3 tracks, okay, 3 different versions. It is very common for especially kind of, I don't know, this kind of commercial music, okay, made for the backgrounds of podcasts and YouTube shows and action bits. Okay, so yeah, you'll find lots of stuff that will actually loop without you having to go and make it loop. All right, now it's time to pack up. Maybe go get a beer and relax for the weekend. I'll see you on Monday. Busy, where are you?